Welcome to Bedtime Story in the Spencer household. My name's Caroline and this is Wilson. Say hi.
Hi.
We thought you might like to join us in bedtime stories tonight. Today's story is one of Wilson's favourites. It's called The Smartest Giant in Town by Julia Donaldson. Maybe, Wilson, you can help me sing the songs when we get to them in the story. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. We hope you enjoy the story. We hope you have a lovely time at Playbox Theatre. I joined when I was 9 and I've had years of fun there. I even got to work with some of the Stratford early stagers in for a while.
Froggy.
Oh, you must get froggy. Let's start the story quickly. It's the smartest giant in town. Let's start at the beginning. That would help.
Hiya.
George was a giant. The scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals.
Spit it out. A mouth.
He is spitting the water out of his mouth. And the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly.
Look. Crab.
Is there a
Spit it
crab?
out.
What's going to happen next? But one day,
Drink it all
George
up
noticed a new
in
shop.
the mouth.
A new shop, Wilson.
You stop.
It was full of smart clothes, so he bought, help me out here, a smart shirt, a smart pair of,
Trousers.
a smart,
Belt.
a smart stripy
Socks.
tie,
Toys.
some smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a
Toys.
pair of smart, shiny.
Shoes.
Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a
What's
giraffe.
that?
What is it?
What's that?
He was sniffing sadly.
What's that? Making a noise?
It's the giraffe, Wilson. What's the matter? Asked George.
What's that?
That's his old
Here.
gown. It's my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long, warm scarf. What did George say? Cheer up, said George. And he took off his stripy tie. It didn't match my socks anyway, he said, as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf.
It's happy, a sniffing, a sadly.
Yeah, he's happy now, but he was sniffing sadly. Thank you, said George, said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, Wilson. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Beautiful. So George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. Bah! What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat. It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a snug, strong new sail for my boat. Poor goat. What does George say?
Cheer up.
Cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail.
Look, what
Thank you, said the
come
goat.
out
Yeah.
and splash.
Now look at George, he's got no shirt on. George strode on,
No shirt.
singing to himself. Are you ready?
Yeah.
My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. And George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with her lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking.
What's that?
It's a little mouse. Can you do a mouse squeak? Very good. What's the matter? Asked George.
What's that?
It's the house. It's all been ruined. Oh no. It's our house, squeaked the mother mouse. It burnt down and now we have nowhere to live.
that?
That's all the mice coming out of their house. I wish we had a nice new house. Poor
Look.
little mice.
Fire.
Fire, yeah.
And the clouds.
The
It's maybe.
Let's see what happens next. What did George say? Did George have an idea?
Maybe Spider-Man gets it.
Well,
A
let's see if
mouse.
Spider-Man gets involved. Cheer up, said George. And he took
Spider-Man
off one of his shiny shoes.
This. I think I want
He took off one of his shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway, he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside.
What's that?
The shoe made a
What's
perfect
that?
house for them.
What's that? A house.
Thank you, they squeaked.
It's a
What's going on now?
Down.
Well,
And-
let's see. He's got to hop, hasn't he? George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he
What's
sang to
that?
himself.
But the long
Ready?
that
My...
that mommy is scared to that.
Oh, she's scared of the noise, I think. He's making a big noise with his singing. Shall we sing it? My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat
Boat.
as a sail
There
for a
you
goat.
go.
My shoe
There
is a
is
house
house.
for a little
The
white
white
mouse.
mouse.
But look
Faster.
me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town.
Faster.
Let's do it faster next time. Great idea. Next, George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. What could do your best crying face? What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry bag. Oh, bless him. What does George say? Cheer up, said George.
No,
And he took
my
off
turn.
one of his socks with,
No,
go
my
on,
turn.
nice and big voice then.
My turn.
Look to the camera, shout it. Say, cheer up.
Cheer up.
Good boy. One of his socks with diamonds up the sides. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. It made a very fine sleeping bag. Thank you, said the fox. George hopped on, singing happily. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a big, squelchy bog. Oh my gosh. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. Ow, ow, ow! What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path. And George said,
Cheer up.
Good boy, said George as he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Thank you, said George. Said the dog, in fact. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. Let's all join in together. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was chasing a bog. But my trousers are falling down. Oh no, I'm the coldest giant in town. Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some new clothes, he decided. He turned around and hopped all the way back to the shop. Wow, that's a long way he's come. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Are you going to be in the shop now, Wilson?
Yeah.
Very good. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look.
Daddy and
My gown, he yelled. My dear old gown and sandals.
I want a boy and no one else.
Yes, he wants to buy them again in the shop, doesn't he? George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back along the road. Outside the front door stood all of the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, said George, they said. Open it. Wilson, he's got a present. Do you want to look? George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the cards, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, what did it say, Wilson? Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt is a boat for a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown for the Wilson, for the kindest giant in town. Wow. Do you think they gave him a present because he helped them?
Yes, Wilson.
Because the smartest giant in town ended up being the kindest giant in town. I hope you enjoyed that story, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye. Say bye, Wilson. Bye.
Bye.